Do you have an employee who just isn't performing well? Should you fire them? Or is there another option? Welcome to Dave Talks Business.
We have Dave Kramer, the founder of All Pro Web Tools.
Dave has worn many hats over the years as a small business owner.
Well, I really feel that small business is the core of the American economy.
Amen.
It can be intimidating to push an employee to perform to expectations.
The thing I've talked to you consistently about is you've got to have disciplinary procedures and you got to follow through on them. It's amazing how even, in relationships or with children or, with employees, whatever, even government, right? Government has parking fines and speeding fines and things. And for the most part, you don't get those waived. So good structure creates a good environment, a good society where everybody knows what's expected of them and they do what they got to do.
People do thrive off expectations. I think that's a big skill for me, even when I'm working with clients, and I've been working on my messaging and stuff a lot lately, but I'm very clear with my expectations. Look, this is what you're paying me for. This is what we want to deliver. This is the role we play. This is how this works. And so people thrive under that. And it's just good leadership, So don't be afraid of that at all. It's and if people don't like it, then honestly, they're probably just not a good employee.
With these two guys that are doing half the work that they should be doing, first I would identify is the problem that they want to be good, but they just aren't good. They just don't know how. They need more training. Or is it a lack of motivation? And it could obviously be a mix of both. But what I'll tell you that I personally in my company have been working on, I haven't even hired anybody yet. And I'm already creating all of the training materials when I do hire that person that shows them exactly how to do those things that in the past people have asked me over and over to explain to them, because I don't want to repeat myself. And I want to have, again, a structured process, procedural. So I'm creating actual videos, which I sent you the first 5 minutes of one of those. I'm creating videos that match written documents that have step-by-step instructions.
You might fear that they will quit the job, but is that really such a bad thing? The only reason that you're in this situation in the first place is because their performance has been dropping. You really should not be afraid to let someone go. I often talk to business owners who deep down, they know they need to let them go, but they have fears, such as, this person is the only one who knows how to do the job, or they used to be so good at this job, or I don't want to upset them. Also, I don't know how to dismiss them. And finally, how can I replace them? When I was 5 years old, I used to love playing with dominoes, but I didn't play the traditional game. I learned that when you set them up on the floor in a certain way, you could get them to knock each other over. And it was so much fun to create these different designs and see that I could basically program these dominoes to fall in whatever pattern I wanted them to fall into. These dominoes were like my labor units. I could predetermine how I wanted things to work, and then I could set them in motion, and I could even walk away, and those dominoes would fall in exactly the way that I had planned. Now, it really should work the same way in your business. You should have instructions written that your team can execute even when you're not there. If you have everything written, then you know what's expected and your team knows what's expected. Now, what if you were setting up your dominoes to fall in that prearranged pattern and you found that over and over, one of those dominoes just wasn't falling correctly? Maybe it had a rough edge or it wasn't shaped quite right. Would you keep trying to use that same domino over and over even though it kept failing you? Or would you put it down and pull another one out of the box and put that in its place? You've predetermined the pattern and you've got all of your labor units in a row. So you expect them to operate according to that plan. But a lot of times we feel like we don't have a box of dominoes where we can just pull someone to replace someone that's not quite working out. But that's something that can be fixed. I think dominoes are a great analogy for how our workflow moves through our company. Typically, you'll have a number of employees who touch a project along the way, so it passes along from one person to the next. And if you have written systems in place and each employee is documenting what they've done through the process, then that system should work quite smoothly. And it should also be possible to take one of those dominoes out and replace them with another one, and they'll be able to pick up right where the project was left off because they'll be following the pre-written instructions and they'll be able to refer back to what the previous person in line had done with that project. And this applies not only when somebody leaves the company, but it can also apply if they're sick for a week or if they go on vacation. You can have systems and processes in place to where someone else can just slide right in and take that position and continue the work that needs to get done. So I recommend doing this through SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, and also using a written tasking system, and also having notes on all the different projects and your customers that your employees can update so everybody knows what's going on.
There's a SOP. It's written in text. So I said, pull up, share your screen, pull up the SOP. We went through the SOP again. She goes, yeah, okay, you're right. I know. Like, so why do we have to sit here and be like, well, she said this and I said this and we thought we said this, and like, you know, like we don't need any of that. All it does is cause frustration.
Many times the problem is that you are not being clear as a manager. You may be surprised when you actually implement written instructions and let your employees hold you accountable to what you wrote. This gives your employees a feeling of security when they know that as long as they follow what is written, they will not have to explain themselves later. They will be happier and perform better.
Yeah. Look at this complete task done through 29. Like hey, we need you to go, like, good job on what you're doing, but we need you to do this. They just do it. Okay. Thank you. We'll do. Like, I don't have to tell them 2 or 3 times. It's just one and done. Boom. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for feedback.
Well, that's nice.
I have to admit, I would not have been anywhere near as comfortable if I couldn't see the All Pro Web Tools on my phone.
Got the visibility.
Because I could see what was going on. I could see whether or not they were replying. So then I did step in and say, hey, you want to send her a text back?
Yeah. I do the same thing with my team.
But yeah, it made me, I was actually up on top of Superstition Mountains in Arizona on a 4-wheeler, and I finally had a cell signal, sent out a couple of text messages and went back on the wheeler and off I went. And I was, yes, it was wonderful. It was great. It's the most comfortable I've probably been when I've left.
That's great, because normally when you leave and you don't have that visibility, you're trying to have fun, but you're worried the whole time. And you're like, when can we get back to a phone so I can call them and make sure?
Exactly.
That's
or
really good to
just
hear.
can't see whether, when a customer contacts us, now I can see it. I can know what they're looking for. I can see whether or not they did anything with it. So yeah.
Look at these notes, continuation completed image, son, pound priority property, researching the mortgage or researching for mortgage, creating content for mortgage starting on April 12th to 16th. I mean, like she's just even leaving good notes, like even for like general, like 4-hour chunk of notes, you know what I mean? And they all complete their tasks. Like, they've learned how to complete their tasks. So they're using the tasking system.
Everybody goes through life changes, and sometimes an employee who performs awesome and amazing, something happens in their life and they never perform awesome and amazing ever again. And it could be totally not their fault, not intentional, but you're running a business and you need to have peak performers. That's just all there is to it, right? If you had a cell phone that every once in a while it just turned itself off, would you keep that phone? Like, you got a business to run, right? Or a computer that just turns off all of a sudden. Like, it's cheaper to just go buy another $500 computer and be back running again. And unfortunately, that's what these labor units are. They need to be performing all the time at peak performance. So if in a life event happens, even if you have a lot of good feelings for them and you care about them as a person, what's the best thing you can do? If you care about them as a person, as a friend, should you keep them in a job that they hate and they're not doing a very good job at and they're always getting in trouble? Is that really a good thing? Sometimes people have to exit working for you to go pursue their life goals and dreams and somewhere else. And you might talk to them a year later and like, leaving your company, no disrespect, was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because now I got this other job. And it's like, great. You leaving my company was the greatest thing that ever happened to me too, because I met this Sally girl and she's doing amazing. So don't feel like you have to keep them in order to be a good friend to them, because they've got a life to live too, and they're going to go through different patterns. If you have provided written instructions and the employee's performance is still not up to par, write them up each day they fail to meet expectations. After 3 strikes, let them go. It's surprising when I advise my clients to do this, they usually come back to me and tell me that the person they found to replace is so much better than the previous employee that they had been holding on to for so long.
Isn't it amazing now that he's gone, things are still running?
Yeah. Things are still running. Things are running smoother and employees are happier. And there's a lot of stuff that surfaced, and I realized
It always does.
Well, and I realized how, because I knew Tom didn't like him, obviously, but I'm realizing how much just absolute disrespect both of my techs had for him, just in the way that he handled himself as a manager. Like one of my employees, he goes, "Oh, yeah, you'd think that I would have been trained on this already since I had a manager here, but yeah, no, I've never been told that." How bad things were, I didn't realize it. So
yeah.
Your goal should be to have the freedom to do what you want to do, and the vehicle that's going to get you there is having your own small business. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified the next time I drop a video to teach you exactly how to do that, how to run and manage your own small business.